All right, let's talk the last Left 4 Dead character, and that'd be Francis. I like Francis a lot. Francis, again, another fun character to write for, but he went through some transformation, and there's some things about him that maybe you aren't aware of. So, first, the physical transformation from the hairy, kind of greasy biker to the kind of the clean cut biker was the artist that was kind of in charge of the character changes. Really, really love the character model. The New Zealand surfer guy, which again, New Zealand, not a real country, so it's crazy that this surfer guy pretended to be from there. But he really was just fascinated and stuck on that look. But I don't think that look translates in the US the same way, as we often equate that kind of skinhead kind of biker guy to something else that we did not want in the game. So I like the hairier biker. There was a problem with the hair, a lot of problem with the hair, a lot of problem with the hair to ship it. So I get that, but yeah, I still miss the kind of hairy Francis version. I'll admit to that. But when you're working on a project like this with a bunch of talented people and somebody is really passionate one way, you kind of let them run with it, because that's where you find and explore. And 99% of the time you agree with what they do and it's better and it's more awesome. This is the one time that just personally I walked away thinking, I like the hairier Francis. But, I think it's a mix of people, what they like or don't like on that one. Fine. So Vince was the voice actor for that. And Eric did the worst thing you could do in a voice session for that one. So we're recording him, and we'd written him kind of as a biker, but never as like a super intelligent guy. It's helpful to have somebody who's not super intelligent that you often have to explain things to, because then you're not talking to the player, or you're not doing a bunch of weird exposition. You're just explaining to the moron what you have to say. And we've written him that way, and we get to not even an hour in, and Eric just comes up behind me and he whispers, "Artie Lang," and then walks away. He sounded just like Artie Lang, which Artie Lang's a radio guy we don't want to do, a Howard Stern character, or not here character, but like on the show. It's like, oh my God. So we get back and we're like, oh my God, he sounds like Artie Lang. That's a problem. And it's not really a problem that he sounds like Artie Lang, but it's a problem that in our heads, that adds a lot of context to his performance then, and we don't want that. And so the audio technician is like, hang on 1 second, he has this magical tool, he tunes it down, and it works perfectly. And it sounds still like Vince. Vince does a great job acting. I'm not knocking Vince's acting. Just his vocal register was in this place that was Artie Lang. And so the audio engineer fixed it. It was perfect. And so every time then we got audio in, we would have to hear it in that other voice, and then hear it in Artie Lang, and then it would get processed, and we would hear it in Vince's processed voice, but that would be Francis. And so the other thing is, when we were first writing Francis, that was one of the characters that kind of got into it a little bit with some of the explaining how to write for characters like this with some other members of the team. This was, remember, early on, I wasn't even a Valve people, it was mainly me. And when you have a guy who's a biker, he looks like a biker. He acts like a biker. You don't have to ever say he's a biker. You don't have to ever say like, well, I was cleaning my chains last night. And I see a lot of writers do this. And I see a lot of writers on games I've played who, excuse me, that will do this, where they just write like exposition in as if the character doesn't know who the character is and is explaining the character. And you just don't do that. You talk about those things maybe, or you talk about like what you're doing, but you really don't, even with other people. And when you have the model, you have the voice, and you have all of that going together, and you're going to be with that character for some period of time, you don't need to be so explicit. And the first pass, I got this like, oh, you have to be more explicit that he's a biker. And I'm like, no, you don't. He's fine. And then, of course, I think people most likely know him now for the I hate stuff. And it really was of just, I've said this before, of when I would write for a character, I play through the game and I write as the character. And then I write as the player as the character. And then as the player watching the character, kind of like those levels. And the I hate stuff was actually a piece of art, a lawyer sign in one of the maps that I had asked to have removed because I thought it looked really cheesy. And I'm just like, I hate this. And it made me laugh. And it made me laugh to have Francis say that. And I did a pass where I just did a whole bunch of I hate stuff then because it made me, I could think in Francis's head at that point, not Ari Lang's. And it made me laugh. And then Eric saw that, and Eric just did a whole bunch more. And then we just, like, every opportunity we have to do that, right? And then the cool thing with Francis, of course, is sometimes, like with the boat stuff in the DLC, is he stupid or is he just kind of having some play and some fun there? And you never know a little bit. No, you know, I wouldn't want him to do my taxes. But again, like that all combines in having this fun character that especially Lewis and Zoe get to have this play off of and then have to explain things to him. And especially Bill has to explain stuff to him like, yeah. But then that explains it to the players and it doesn't feel like you're being talked at. But instead, you're being part of the conversation as a player. And I think it's a way better way to get information. So in that sense, like, it's the same with the soldier in TF2, right? Like, we like to have those kind of characters in there because you can use them as sounding boards. We do a little less in TF2. But here, it was really good and really fun. And again, Vince does a great job in the voice, and then Francis and all of that just kind of comes together.